Peace out to Reluctant Lobby and the fam. You guys. All right, I want to talk about something I know very little bit about. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you this guy right now. I don't know a lot about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't care. Now, some people are going to be like, Kyle Rittenhouse got away with what, double murder? And let me just ask you guys this. How many of you thought he was going to be convicted? By who? By the one black person? Played a little bingo, reached his hand into a jar, picked out the jury. Who put those names in that jar? Bet it wasn't nobody from BLM. I mean, let's just be honest, people. If you thought that Rittenhouse was going to be convicted, you haven't been paying attention. Because, I mean, he's basically taking selfies with the judge. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen. And I'm not exactly mad about that. Because Kyle Rittenhouse took out, it's going to sound a little racist, but it's not. He shot two white people who already were in the. Okay, let's look at it from. Let's do this. Let's look at the case from how America does black people. Whenever the police kill one of us, what is the first thing they do? They start a smear campaign, meaning they go dig up our records. When they do this, they try to justify a murder. We know that it's murder, but they try to soften the blow by saying this 13-year-old boy was a gang member who killed no one, who was unarmed. The police said, stop, freeze, turn around. And the kid does that, and the police blows his kid away. And they justify the killing of a black teenager. Tamir Rice had a gun, which was a BB gun, and there was nobody else around. The police did not say, put the weapon down, which they should have. They shot Tamir Rice in 2 seconds. And then, made his family pay for the ambulance ride, and all that. There was just no love. They just shot another 13-year-old boy. The police barge into these people's house, start shooting it up, and shoot a little girl in the neck in Detroit. They said, hey, we were there for the uncle, so it's the uncle's fault she died. No accountability whatsoever. Like, screw all of you. This is what happens when, you break the law, somebody's in your house, anybody can get it. Breonna Taylor, we look at her case, it was 100% false information that they had, but they busted in the house and, thought, they had a false warrant, and the guy who they were looking for did not even live there. But when it comes to drugs, the cops want the money. Let's be real, the police want the money so they can pocket it and do whatever they want with it. That's why they're stopping people who are traveling on the highways and airplanes, and if you have a large amount of cash, they take it from you and you never get it back. Now that we got that out the way, let's be for real. What they do is they start smear campaigns. They look up your record, and come to find out that one of these guys, well, both of them had terrible records. You know, one had something to do with kids, so on and so forth. Terrible records, both of them. But neither one of them were black. And as soon as I saw that neither one of them were black, I said, this guy had nothing to do with us. Just because they belong to Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that it had anything to do with us. Now, another reason why I'm saying that is because you have white people who march in solidarity with black people. Always have. There are just some good white folks out there. That's it, that's all. And we appreciate them. We appreciate them. But we also know that the Black Lives Matter movement isn't even about black people. The people who created it are not necessarily who I would say on our side. It's questionable anymore. It's more political than anything, so that's why I don't go near Black Lives Matter. I don't wear Black Lives Matter anything. I don't have it on my car, no, none of that, because it seems to be more political than anything. So there's that. Also, we know there are people who have jumped on a bandwagon of Black Lives Matter, but they were doing more destructive things that actually went against the movement of Black Lives Matter. So you couldn't really identify who was who. They're just out there destroying property, and we're like, wait a minute, we're not doing that. So there's that. And when you come to this case, it looked like Kyle was defending himself. Now, I still have questions why a 17-year-old is allowed to run around with an assault rifle. Because this seems to be the only problem that I have with this whole thing. Right in front of police, like it's nothing. His mother gave him that gun. If I go give my 17-year-old son, I do not have a 17-year-old son, but if I gave my 17-year-old son a assault rifle and let him walk around during the riots, do you think that kid would be alive? What are the chances the police would kill him? Very high. Now, we already know that it's their world. They hijacked the whole world. They did what they want to, and they're destroying the world. We know this. We know this. We know that European nations are everything that we had, they've taken. Our land, they're still taking resources from our motherland. They're still robbing Africans blind. I mean, and if Africa tries to stop all that, they will drop a nuke on Africa before they let Africa become richer than any of these European countries. Even with Africa's small armies and navies, heck, the biggest army in Africa is South African, and that's because they're white. I mean, come on. We know that this is their land, so if you're looking to see any justice that's going to be equal, you're just not going to see it. So, as far as Kyle Rittenhouse case is concerned, it just had nothing. Like, I can't look at this case and go, you killed two white guys who were for Black Lives Matter, and then get upset. It's not because they were white, but it's because they were white. You have to understand, like, I got nothing against white people unless they got something against me. But this is a fight that white people have to hash out. That's why I'm just like, I'm not going to march for these two guys who were, killed and one who was injured. I'm not going to march because it's not my fight. It's just like men marching for, abortion rights. I'm not marching for that. I'm staying out of that. That's a fight that is like the thing that's going on in Texas. That is not a fight for men. It's not my fight. You know, if I had a woman and she wanted to march for that, I would be like, boom, and I would support her. You know, or my sisters, my auntie and mom, or any female that wants to march and wants to, you know, be an advocate of whether they see right and wrong with it. I support them. But do I go out and march with them? No, because I don't know what it's like to have a child. But I do know what it's like to lose one. So now, if they said, what about men's rights when it comes to this? Then it's something that we can go out and stand up for, and that's just a whole different argument, you know. But nonetheless, I'm just saying, like I'm not looking at it like a racist thing. I'm simply looking at it like it's a fight that white people will have to work out. Now, are they going to go after Kyle Rittenhouse because he was found not guilty of murder? Now, they could go after him and indict him for manslaughter, they could go after him for a lot of reasons. Actually, they could go after him for just a lot of things. I mean, he killed 2 people. Now, they're going to say self-defense, but nonetheless, these 2 people are dead because of you. So there are some ways that they can go after him, especially financially. So they can actually go after his finances. And that's, like I said, that's something white people are going to have to do. Should the Black Lives Matter organization get into that? Depends on where he was at as far as being a member. Was he an organizer? See, I know a Black Lives Matter member who was slaughtered right here in my hometown. And he was a young dude. He was in his 20s. And there was another one. She was a Black Lives Matter member, and she was found floating down a river. And the guy was found on the state building lawn. I actually knew him. And they tried to make it seem like he committed suicide. We know he didn't commit suicide. Black people are not fond of suicide, especially young Black people. And I know he didn't commit suicide. We know that he was killed by the police. Point blank, we know that that woman was killed by the police. We know this. But we don't have an army. We don't have a standing army to go after anyone. And the court systems belong to the, judges and the police. We know this. Even if we have videotape in the name that says, this guy did this, and these people did this to this girl, and left her floating down a river, you know what's going to happen? They're going to get acquitted. It's going to be a hung jury. They'll be found not guilty. They do go to jail. They'll go to Candy jail. They'll go to Martha Stewart jail. They're not going to go to any hardcore prison like I would go to. They're not going to go 24-hour lockup and be in a cell, a dark cell by themselves for years. To come out looking disfigured. They're not going to be raped by other men. Nothing like that's going to happen to them. They're going to be protected. They're not going to have their food spit into and urinated into, and people who have AIDS spitting in their food. That's not going to be their life. And they'll get out. They'll make bail. Bail will be set at $50,000. They'll pay $5,000. They'll be out of jail. And the sentence will be reduced to involuntary man to 5 years maximum. Just saying, it's their world. They can do what they want. But we're still waiting for God to do something about it. And I am a strong believer in, the Lord Jesus Christ. And I just think, He told us a long time ago that these things are going to happen to us. So everybody's going to get theirs in the end, but it is what it is. And this is the reason why I did not even, I don't even care about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Anyways, you guys can lament over it all you want to, but it got nothing to do with black people.